Hello, everybody. It's Heather with the Leadership with Heart podcast. And today I'm very excited to have Catherine Bleeker on with me on the podcast. Occasionally I get folks that reach out with a story or something that's compelling or something that's interesting, and it'll become kind of obvious why I have her on here shortly. But welcome, Catherine. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So where are you right now anyway in your leadership journey?
I am the director of marketing for Ziggy's Coffee. We are a coffee shop franchise company that was founded here in Colorado. And we now have over 70 locations nationwide with over 200 more in development. So fast growing company. And I, within my role, work alongside an amazing team to help develop and execute all of our marketing strategies and brand initiatives that we push out across the company.
That kind of growth, have you been there since the beginning or just more recent or?
Not quite. So we were founded in 2004 in Longmont, Colorado, and I joined the team part-time actually in 2015. So been
Oh,
about 9 years or so at this point. And but I did join on right when we started franchising. So in 2016 is when our founders decided that they wanted to move into the next phase of the business and open it up to franchising. So I was part of being able to help develop what marketing looks like from that standpoint as we kind of set out our roadmap to continue our growth.
and so with that growth, like what were some of the pain points that you experienced? Because we know there's great stuff and then there's like, holy, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes, yeah.
What were those things?
I mean, luckily, we were at a place in the company where, we had made the decision and we felt confident in our move to franchise just because our founders had spent over a decade developing all the processes and everything that we're like, yeah, this is time. We can start to replicate this and feel good about, what we had built over those years. But certainly when you move into it, it is a whole new ballpark. And at least from a marketing standpoint, learning about all the different markets and the communities and everything that we were going into and starting to grow definitely came on more quickly than I was like, oh wow, we people don't know who we are. They knew us in Colorado, but now we're going into like almost uncharted territory, if you will. And so having to learn and adapt quickly to what our new strategies were going to be, how we were going to gain that brand awareness within the new cities and everywhere that we were wanting to expand.
So we're on a podcast called Leadership with Heart.
Yes.
When you think of leadership with heart, how do you define it? What do you think of when you think of leadership with heart?
For me personally, and just leadership with heart in general, for me, it comes down to the hard work, the humility, and just believing in the possibilities. And I've always been motivated by dreaming big and working alongside people that our heart and our passion is there for whatever the vision is that we're trying to accomplish. And I've always been inspired by like everything's possible. Nothing is too big. You just got to set little goals along the way to help you achieve whatever it is that you set your mind out to. And for me, I think just that hard work and that dedication and to believing in something is where your heart lies. And it lies with the people that you work with as well to help get you there.
Oh, that's very interesting. So like for you, it's a connection between kind of your purpose or mission or the vision or what drive that kind of that heart focus.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. I love that idea. Yeah. I do think that oftentimes when we look at, for example, I talk a lot about self-leadership and that idea of understanding our why, understanding why we're leading, understanding what we're doing here on the planet, like what's that whole purpose, is a big part of that front end. Because if we don't even understand that, we can't then lead other people in a caring, heart-based way, because we're just completely disheveled. We don't even know where we're going. And so then we can't help them get where they want to go either.
Exactly. Yep, definitely.
Very interesting. So those who are on your team now, as you're continuing to grow, how would they describe you as a leader? What words would they use to describe you?
Well, I've been told I'm more of a show, not tell. So leading by example. For me, again, kind of just as I mentioned, like I need to be with my team. I need to be involved in the work. It's very hard for me to just sit back and be like, nope, this is what you have to do, and just watch it from the sidelines. Like I love to roll up my sleeves and just get in there with my team and make sure that no one, is left behind in terms of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. There's no task that is too big or too small. Everything at some point plays an impact in what we're trying to do. And so just being able to jump in there and help support in any way I can, no matter what it is. And yeah, just again, leading by example. And I think that goes, to the authenticity and the heart as well. Is like, it's hard for me to say one thing and then not show it to my team, and be there right there with them and go through what they might be feeling, or just trying to understand myself and have that empathy so that I know what, motivates them, and how we can accomplish something together.
So for those who are listening to what we often do on the show is have every guest walks us through kind of like a time when they didn't see themselves as a leader with heart. Like, so they did something. There was like a scenario, an interaction, a time where they just didn't show up as a caring leader. Can you think of a specific time where there's a story that you can share with the listeners as it relates to you?
Yeah, so I think for me, kind of goes against what I just said, but in terms of the opportunity, or where I've learned and the opportunities that I can gain to be a better leader, is just a lot of times, sometimes it is easy just to get wrapped up in the work. When there especially is a lot going on. We're at a fast growing company. Sometimes, it can just be super head down in the work, not necessarily paying attention to those people around you or what might be going on. And so I would say, an opportunity through that I've learned is I got to pull myself out of that. I've got to pay attention to what my team needs, what they motivate them, because at the end of the day, the work is only going to be as good as the people who are there helping you to accomplish whatever goals and things you're setting out. So yeah, for me, it's, sometimes getting too bogged down in that, but needing to take a step back and pay attention to those around me as well and what they might need.
Have you had to do that just even recently, like in the last couple of years, where you're like,
Yeah.
I think I let this thing get away from me, and I have to kind of pause and go, uh-oh, and either like go back and apologize, or like, I'm curious to know if there's anything that you can remember.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely been like stressful moments that have come up and things like that. But yeah, just being able to pause, realign with my team. And part of what that has been is just recognizing, hey, like if we need to schedule more check-ins or just have more of that human connection, a lot of stuff too is done over emails and chats and all of that thing. And it's like, sometimes it's like, no, we just got to cut this out. Something's not working. So let's reconnect. Let's try to have that human connection again, and just basically level set on what it is that I can do to support you better, and where we're at.
So with your role, like leading marketing with this brand that's evolving, and that's obviously like competes with some of the much larger brands in the world, like Starbucks, whatever. What do you feel are some of the biggest like differentiators that kind of would make you, different, better, set you apart from some of those organizations? And is heart or care an element of that?
Absolutely. Our company, being founded by a husband and wife duo in a small town, I mean, that is really how our company's foundation was built. For them, every interaction mattered. They were building their small business. And so having that, authentic connection with the customers, asking them about their day, having it be more than just passing out a cup of coffee was everything that they did to just get that repeat business and start to slowly build their business over time. So really, truly, the foundation of Ziggy's is rooted in that those values. And so we continue to try to live those in all the things that we're doing, not only through marketing, but operations as well, which leads into the customer service, and just really wanting to be that place within the community that people can come and continue to have those authentic, genuine connections and connect over a cup of coffee. Coffee's very synonymous with community. And so we still want to be very plugged in. And so we try to provide our, franchise owners with resources to be able to go out and do that and try to build and be that pillar as well in their community. But yes, heart is at the center of everything we do. And we want people to come back, and feel that. And so we definitely try to, be the best part of their day.
It makes me think of, you're really young for this, but you might know about this. Cheers, the movie Cheers,
Oh, yes.
the show, yeah, right, where they would, it was always like, they knew when they walked in, they knew your name and they get to ask you your story. And I think about even like today, and like with my husband, or when we go to a place, if we go to a place where they like are, oh, hi, and they know my name, and they, oh, how are your kids? And then it's like, I want to go back and I want to see when's the fastest I can go back again. Like, I'm just like, because the experience is it's kind of like a neurological feed for me, right? It gives you that dopamine boost of like feeling like belonging and like you're welcome and things like that. And so, I can see how being founded from a small place. And it'd be curious to know, like talking to them later, what they have found to be the challenges? Like, is there a way to systematize that? Because it's kind of hard. Some of this stuff is hard to train. I mean, you can try to, like, for example, Chick-fil-A has attempted to do that where they're like, my pleasure, my pleasure. And sometimes it starts to just sound robotic, but
Mhm.
having like a person truly care, for a person to ask the right questions, to show that inquisitiveness about the person on the other side of the counter. Like, how do you do that? How do you, I know you're not in operations, but still overarchingly, how do you do, and what are some of the challenges to that?
Yeah, I think you hit it exactly. We don't want to feel, just that like robotic, like it truly being genuine. And so really for us, it comes with just telling our story again, to everybody who comes on board within our company, and trying to instill that in our values. And so that we are able to then train on why it is important, and what that looks like in your day-to-day interaction. And something we've said for a long time around here as well is, we want to be the best part of your day. That's been our tagline, but really emphasizing the your. And that's kind of just taking a moment to pause, recognize where the customer may be at, and then how can we just tailor our interactions to be as genuine as possible. If they don't want to chat, then we don't need to, force chatting with them. If they do want to chat and it is that moment of time where they can, get out of the house, come visit us for a cup of coffee, then we can recognize that and really lean into, again, just kind of meeting them where they're at in that moment.
I love that. I talk about in this book, it's called The Art of Active Listening. I talk about recognizing the unsaid. And this is huge. I really do think like folks in the service industry need to do a much better job of paying attention to the nonverbal cues that's happening with those they're serving, and then figuring out and like adjusting the way they serve them based upon what they notice. But we often, like you were talking about earlier, where we get so overwhelmed and the plate is so full, and we just are not taking time to stop and recognize that we are. And so then we are missing so many, blind spots. There's so many blind spots created, so many cues that are there. And then we're just responding the wrong way. People we think to ourselves, oh, I did a great job. I said something to them and like I responded to them. And the other person, the other end is going like, did this person not get me at all? And that the answer is usually, that's exactly right. They did not get you.
Yeah.
And people want to go places where people get them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely what we are finding, we've learned. And again, it started from that place of just like, we just want to make this person's day, like that's as simple as it is. And whatever that means to them, we don't have to overcomplicate it. And just like you're saying, it's a matter of awareness. And that's what we try to, look at in terms of how we train, and just what service means when you come to Ziggy's.
I love that. Okay, so now we're at the time of the podcast where we turn the tables and you get to ask me a question. Which question? It doesn't matter. It's just whatever you want. What question do you want to ask me?
I actually wanted to kind of dive a little bit more into your concept of active listening. I've had a colleague of mine tell me, that use this term, this phrase, that sometimes people, listen to respond versus listen to understand. And so I'd love to just hear any of your high level tips on just how, starting tomorrow, how can we all get better about just, listening more to understand versus responding?
We all are, we all have this as an issue. Like if there would be one person on this planet who tells me they haven't at least done it once or they don't do it like once this week,
Yeah.
I know they'd be lying. That would include me. And one thing that I do, the first thing I have to do is I have to kind of like quiet the voices in my head. So I have to actually like do that. Oftentimes we give ourselves negative self-talk. In this case, it's giving ourselves like reassuring self-talk that we can clear it away, that we can clear away the fray and focus on the person in front of us. And that is because understanding our why. Why are we actually across from the other person? Why did we originally interact with them? Did they come to us? Why did they come to us? What were the reasons why? Because if we can understand the why behind the interaction, it helps us like focus in on delivering on the output of that. But if we don't go, we're just like kind of willy-nilly all the day, just like interacting with people with no purpose. It's harder for us to say, okay, pause your own mind, stop the thinking of like what you're going to say next. This person really needs me to hear them. And I think the other thing that's really important to do is for us to reflect back on the time when we left an interaction feeling like we were heard or not heard. So both sides of the coin. And we can think about how we felt And if we can continue to kind of use it as an anchor to think about how do we feel when someone treated us like we were nothing and like they didn't even see us or hear us. And on the other end, how did I feel in this very best situation? And if I can continue to like use those as anchors in my mind, then every time someone comes up to me, they're coming up to me for a reason. I uncover their why, and then I'm able to kind of really lean into that. So much of this is a mental thing because it's so hard for us to get out of our own way. There's just so many things going on with all of us, personal, professional, all at once, culminating, social media, Slack messages. I mean, all the things. Yeah. So I think the most important thing is to settle into that whole idea of the why, and then our own personal kind of positive and negative experiences. And those serve as anchors for us to be more present.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So for those who are listening right now, as we think about this concept of leadership with heart, whether, it can be individual, it could be, personal, any of that stuff. What would be a couple of pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave people with for those who might be at a crossroads in their leadership, might need a little extra motivation, maybe looking for more inspiration? What might be a couple of pearls you would leave them with?
Yeah. So for me, and this is still very much in practice every single day, but I would say trusting your gut, and not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone to try something new and then just pivot. That was something that I've really had to learn through my experience at our company. Again, we're fast growing, a lot of things change. And that was hard for me at first to be like, wait, why is everything changing? Why are we doing this? But sometimes you got to just go with those gut instincts that you have and feel confident that you're making the right decision in that moment. And sometimes those leaps of faith lead to something that you could have never, imagined, and they end up being a huge success versus a failure. So yeah, just really leaning into you got this and having more of that positive self-talk. And yeah, just trusting your gut, and you might fail, but you also might succeed.
I love that so much. Yeah, you might fail, but I mean, I kind of feel like that's leadership. There's we may even like fall down or fail more than we actually kind of create more of a positive path or enlightenment for other people. But I think it's the journey that's worth it. And I always say that leadership is not for the faint of heart. And so that when people look to us for guidance in some way and expect concern and care from us, we have a choice whether we deliver or we don't. Yep. And the output and the outcome is totally up to us. So I appreciate that. That gave me something to ponder for the rest of the day too, Catherine. It's been great chatting with you too.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening to Leadership with Heart podcast. Be well.